Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Arsenal. Of course, as soon as I got finished done about talking about Rodrygo, the news from Sky Sports hand of Arsenal comes out with a lot more information. So let's do it again. In case you didn't watch that, the video, link it at the end. So let's start with this one from a quote from Daily FC. He says, Hand of Arsenal said Arsenal have made Rodrygo their top winger target this summer, and several key club figures have spoken to the Brazilian about life at the club. Arsenal will present a strong financial offer if the player is placed on the market. So, as I said on the previous video, like an hour ago, that is what you need to do to get players like Rodrygo. Players who are going to take you to the next level, you're going to have to pay money for it. You're never going to get Rodrygo for 20 million. No, you're going to have to pay a lot of money for it. Look at how Liverpool are going to basically splash the bank for VAT. That is a player they feel like they need. That is a player who's going to cost them more than 100 million. We saw the kind of impact that Declan Rice had in our team. We splashed the money, went all the way to 105 million pounds, our first 100 million signing in Arsenal's history. Look at how much impact Declan Rice has had at Arsenal in both seasons. That is what you need to do. Especially if it's a position that you need, you just have to go for it. Simple. So let's break down what Hand of Arsenal has said in his tweet. Arsenal have made Rodrygo their number one winger target this summer. Very, very happy with that. He was my first option as well. I did say that I want Gyökeres and Rodrygo. Gyökeres would be my 100% fast choice, and Rodrygo would be my 100% fast choice for left winger. But I also did say I wouldn't mind a Nico Williams or a Lookman, but Rodrygo is my first option. And we've been linked to like 6 or 7 different names in terms of the winger area. We can exclusively reveal the recruitment team at Arsenal are in unanimous agreement that Rodrygo is a player who could be the difference in the hunt for major silverware. So we've been told before that with the other two, with Gyökeres and Sesko, how can I forget about them? We've been talking about them every single day. With Gyökeres and Sesko, we've not yet decided who we want. But with the left winger, we've now decided which player we want. So that is great. At least we agree that Rodrygo is the best choice. Everyone agrees with that, whether it's Bert, whether it's Arteta, all of those guys. I just realized the background is the wrong background, so let's switch to that. But let's read the next one. Several key figures at Arsenal have spoken to Rodrygo, including first team players, about life at Arsenal. Other Premier League sides are involved and have set out their strategy to lure him, but I am told Arsenal will present a strong financial offer if the player is placed on the market. Strong financial offer, that is crazy, because I'm assuming Man City will say they want him if he becomes really, really available. I'm assuming Chelsea, maybe not. Liverpool, maybe. If they were going to sell Diaz, I'd say the ones that would really compete with if it came to Rodrygo would be maybe Man City, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich. The others might want him, but I'd not really be concerned. Even if Arsenal right now wanted Rodrygo and Liverpool and Bayern Munich want Rodrygo, I'd still be confident of getting him. Ever since we got Declan Rice, I've been different in the transfer market. I've been like, okay, since we can get Declan Rice ahead of Man City, ahead of Bayern Munich, get Raya ahead of Bayern Munich, that means we have a pull in the transfer window. Finishing second is quite hurtful 3 times in a row, but what it does is it puts in a position where you can actually get these players. You can convince them. They feel like, okay, you've been competing for the title 3 seasons in a row. Yes, they look at you finishing second, but I don't think players look at it like that. They'll be like, okay, second 3 times in a row, that means you're competing. Maybe I'm the last piece of the puzzle, and you can convince him for that. You can tell them, listen, look, 1 point behind Man City here, a couple of points behind Man City here in the previous season. We finished second to Liverpool. You're literally the last piece, missing piece. If you join us, you have a guaranteed position in this spot, and a guaranteed spot in this position, and we're going to pay you this amount of wages. And if we offer Real Madrid more than 80 million, I'm sure they would accept. I think if teams go for him right now, 3 or 4 teams, and make bids, I think teams will start at like 60 million. But eventually, if you want to outbid everyone else, it's going to be up to 85 million pounds. And in terms of wages, I'm sure teams will start at like 200,000 per week. But if you're going to get him, it has to go all the way to like 295,000 per week. That is just what I'm thinking. What is the current situation? As reported weeks ago, Rodrygo is set to have a meeting with Xabi Alonso regarding his future role at Real Madrid. This meeting is yet to take place, and we can also exclusively reveal Rodrygo will try to emphasize his will to play at a left-handed side role. Brazilian feels this is where he can express himself best and maximize his creative position, our potential positionally. So I talked about the position thing in the previous video about Rodrygo. I said last season he played as a right winger. The previous season he played as a striker, and then Bellingham and Vinicius behind him before Mbappe signed. But obviously Mbappe joined, and now Rodrygo isn't really guaranteed a starting position. There's other players like Diaz there, and Bellingham, and Valverde, and Mbappe, and Vinicius, and Rodrygo wants to play on the left side. And last season Rodrygo only played 90 minutes 6 times in the La Liga, so he's not always guaranteed a spot there. He usually gets subbed off and other players are going to stay on. His position is not guaranteed. At Arsenal, we can actually tell him, listen, we really need a left winger. Sometimes he can back up Saka on the right wing. That is a position he really needs someone. But he will speak to Xabi Alonso. Of course, if it was Ancelotti, I think he'd have already gone. But since Xabi Alonso's gone there, Xabi Alonso will try to talk to him and convince him. But if his thing is he really wants to play at left wing, there's nothing that Alonso will tell him that will convince him, because that is Vinicius's spot, unless Vinicius is going to be moved to the right side or benched, which I doubt. The Club World Cup will be a key indicator of how Rodrygo's future is settled. Real Madrid are adamant they do not want to sell Rodrygo unless the player asks for a move personally. So if he does go to the Club World Cup and plays for the 1 month, then maybe it would mean he's going to stay there. Or maybe it's going to be a late deal if it happens. And right now, I feel like we need early deals, especially for striker and left wing position. Arsenal are willing to pull off Ozil-esque transfer and compete with any club for the services of Rodrygo should he become available. Another thing I mentioned the previous video is that how many world-class signings have we made over the last 15 years, or ever since we moved to the Emirates 19 years ago? You know, you can count them on one hand. Aubameyang, maybe Lacazette, Ozil, Sanchez, and Declan Rice. There's not too many that we've made that have completely changed the direction of the team. Ozil did that. Sanchez did that. They helped us win a couple of FA Cups. They got us into title races. Declan Rice definitely did. Aubameyang and Lacazette, especially 2019, they definitely did. We were so close to winning a couple of trophies because of them. Arsenal are willing to rest that one. Finally, I want to say it is a huge privilege and milestone personally to collaborate with the huge world-class journalist like Rodra 10. So yeah, he's combined with Rodra 10. What's his full name? Rodra. I guess we'll just call him Rodra. So yeah, so that is what they've gathered together. That is big news. Hopefully we do get on it. And obviously Sky Sports had just reported that Arsenal are interested in signing Rodrygo from Real Madrid. Rodrygo is high among the left wingers on their list. So that is very, very good news. Looks like Rodrygo, that is what we want to hear. We want to hear Arsenal being linked to such kind of players, you know. If you're signing Rodrygo, I am very happy to get Sane as a backup. I have a question for you guys before I finish. I should have asked it at the beginning. I totally forgot, crossed my mind. For those who really wanted Gyökeres and did not want Sesko, would you be a little bit happier if it was Rodrygo and Sesko? Or does it or it doesn't make a difference at all? Or do you feel like, okay, if it's Rodrygo and Sesko, you're like, okay, let's see how it goes, because you're really happy that you've signed a very big left winger. You're okay to settle with Sesko ahead of Gyökeres, or how do you feel about that? But that's the latest. Make sure to check the other video. It talks about Rodrygo and also Morgan Rogers. I'll put it on screen right now. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch up with you guys on the next one.